Well, as far as my early days are concerned, I don't think I'd be a very good pinball programmer today. I haven't actually written software professionally for about at least 15 years. But it is something that I do feel was absolutely a big contributor to my career and the experience that I've had with it, and in terms of I have a good knowledge of how game software works. I can have a conversation with a programmer and all that. So while I don't program anymore, it was a great part of my development over the years. Do I miss those kind of days? Part of me does miss the earlier days when the teams were smaller, 4 or 5 people were on the team, and you could iterate on an idea really quickly. You can have an idea in the morning and it'll be in the game later on that day. It's a lot more of a complicated process now because there's so many professionals in terms of all these different disciplines, animation, design, software, everything, that need to kind of work together to make something happen. So I do miss it, but what you can do today is just so much bigger and impactful. Since we started working on the first game, there was 4 people on the game, and there was only one programmer, that was me, and there was much smaller production. Now it is hundreds of people, all of which are professionals in their disciplines that they are specializing in, and so it's much more, the technology has just advanced so much more. Well, my position right now is not a programmer anymore. I'm more of the creative director or chief creative officer, and I think I'm kind of guiding things at a higher level. The programmers that we have right now could run circles around me in terms of actually writing code, but they're one of a number of disciplines, specialized disciplines that all need to kind of work in unison with each other. That's part of what I do, is kind of getting some synergy with the team going. The things that inspired us in the 90s definitely still inspire us today. I think of video games as moments, experiences that are all kind of compiled together to form the overall experience of the game. And a lot of those moments and experiences that we've done in the past have been inspired by, sometimes we would see a movie or TV show or some other form of entertainment, and we figure, we know there's a video game equivalent to that. And so that is still part of the creative process that we create, is inspired by other medium, including movies and TV. All I really know is Chicago. I was born in Chicago, and that's all I know. I certainly don't feel like a hometown hero. I do feel like it is a lot of the culture in Chicago. Our work ethic has contributed to our team and our culture and how we work together collaboratively in our team. So I have to believe that there's a lot of Chicago DNA in our games that has always been there since the very beginning. Mortal Kombat is a completely different beast right now than it was in 1992 when it first came out. The size of the team was smaller, the technology was much more, I don't want to use the word archaic, but simpler back then, and the amount of time that it took to create a game is very different. The first game was 8 months. The more recent games that we're doing are in the form of years, and so it's a much different experience. It's a much different set of technology and tools that we have at our disposal. So it's a much bigger production, but it's still a lot of fun. And it is still, when players really embrace our latest games, that makes it all worth it, all of the added effort that has to go into each game. After we learned that they were making an actual movie based on Mortal Kombat, that's when it really started to kind of register with us that this thing has become bigger than just a video game, and it has split off into different medium of comic books, movies, TV shows, animations. And so it's been long enough right now that we've gotten used to the fact that Mortal Kombat is more than just a video game. It's kind of like Marvel or something. It's like this franchise that a number of different mediums can be, content can be made with this intellectual property. And so we're very proud of that. The fact that we've been around 30 years and they're still going strong is a real good sign that something's being done right. The insanity of when the game first came out was something that I missed a lot of it because I was working so hard on the next game. When we were working on Mortal Kombat 2, everybody was reacting to Mortal Kombat 1, and we were just kind of setting the stage for the next game for them to devour and tear apart and learn secrets from. So in some respects, I feel like I've missed that whole hoopla. It wasn't until 10 years later maybe that I look back and I was like, yeah, that was a pretty big deal, that Mortal Kombat game. We've been so busy working on the sequels that it's hard to kind of take it in as it's happening. Yes, I absolutely grew up reading comic books. I loved Marvel and DC, but I was a DC reader. That was my main thing. Superman, Batman, Flash, Green Lantern. And the Justice League was a big deal for me. A lot of what I loved were these special events, crossover events. Superman versus Spider-Man was a big comic book that I remember was a big influence when I was a kid. And I loved just those moments of seeing the crossover events of it. So that was absolutely inspirational for me and the team in terms of the first Injustice game that we made. We wanted to make a game where you're playing as these gods, right? Much superhuman abilities, slamming cars on each other, blasting each other through walls and onto different environments and all that. So Injustice in a lot of ways is Mortal Kombat on steroids, right? When Injustice kind of branched out, similar to how Mortal Kombat did, into other forms of entertainment, that was a big rush for us. We were really excited about, again, seeing a comic book based on something that we created. Mobile game, an animated show. There was, the merchandising and all that stuff. So that was a great payoff for us in terms of, something else that kind of got into pop culture, right? Well, we are certainly working on another game. Unfortunately, right now we're not at liberty to talk about it, but we are very intensely working on it. We're very excited about it, and I'm sure when it comes time to announce it, you guys will be involved in that process.